Hello for people who was with me recently and for new people. If somebody from you are for the first time, my name is Anna and today I'm in my native town, Bucha. And now we are in the part where was the most tanks, military cars, Russians, and I will show you places here and talk how they go and we will see the main street Vokzalna where was a lot of tanks and we will see the street where was a lot of Ukrainian people and I will tell you something. We now not far from the center of Bucha, but you see the results. There is main streets now it looks peaceful, but in occupation time, in this place there was a lot of tanks. They came from that side. They was also behind the houses which I showed you before today. About 2 kilometers behind there was fights. They tried to go Irpin from that part, and they tried to go Irpin going to this road and tried to reach from the Vokzalna street, where was the most of tents. And they also tried to go far and from the third place to reach Irpin. When Bucha wasn't fully occupied, in this street they went, and here was a lot of fights in begin. Even my parents live near. They saw from the window how here was shelling, and cannon shell. Here was they saw the light of this shell, and I will show you now some pictures how this street looks like before now during occupation. Looks. You see the building which behind me I showed you, and this street. A lot of fire burned cars. It was also usual civilian cars, and during this street was also and some destroyed, burned military cars and different. Here was so messy. There are a lot of destroyed transport was here, and you see this building, and now this street it's cleaned, and you see this building. So this street was very full of different tanks, military cars. Here was fight when Russian people tried to take Bucha. It was during this time, and after this they went far. I will show you else. Fully destroyed civilian apartments. Most possibly it was from tanks. It was purposefully or accidentally, we don't know, but more possibly because there was a lot of tanks and here was some fight. But anyway, we see not good, but anyway better than in Irpin or Borodyanka because here was not so long time fight on this street. After this, there was a lot of tanks standards destroyed here, and we will go to other place where was a lot of tanks. And by the way, look at these marks. Here, Russian tanks went on this street also in the road were cars and even this. and they spoiled part with grass. There it wasn't before because it's very heavy equipment, and you see these marks shows that here was tanks. It's a little spoiled, and all this way where we will go from here and from all Vokzalna, you will see. Yes, yes. Some of trees, people told they was destroyed, and some of them they put, but I don't know exactly which one. Yes, but here they went also. Yes, trees are standing. And look at this supermarket. It was also destroyed. Now it's in reconstruction. It was wrapped. It was one of the first supermarket where people took food, and it was the first destroyed supermarket. Our favorite. People usually like it the most. But I hope it will open soon again. And from this place, you see this building burned. By the way, on this building, there is also destroyed roof. And people write in Facebook and everywhere help about to government about repair the roof because rains and it's difficult to be without roof. And we will go ahead. This is street where I showed you on picture. This part. And now we see the street. It's all Vokzalna street. It's enough big street, 4 kilometers in general, but the most fight was when the tanks turn right. In that part was less. So people from this part and even from their spoiled houses which I showed you, people could go to evacuation, but from their part it was then far and more dangerous. Here there was a lot of Russian people. They even tried to shell on this monument. It doesn't work. Tank, it's only monument. They tried to shell it too. They thought it's really tank. They went somewhere here, and we will go to the main important street. Now it's very, very clean. People cleaned very much the street, repaired some parts of the road. And that in the February and March there was snow. There wasn't so nice, so much green trees. They looked more gray than now. I will go to the street and I will show you some more. People, a lot of people and government took some special people for cleaning it. But even in our group in Facebook, people wrote, who is free right now, who is in Bucha, come to clean. everyone joined to us, and a lot of people who lives here cleaned everything. This street was also full of Russian tanks and the military cars. In the forest and in not the center. Here, I think they checked very good. I think because you see the grass is cleaned, so people went here and didn't die. So here, I think it's not dangerous. But in more wild places, in forests and a little far from the center, and not to clean in place, it's very dangerous, especially in forest. Now, right, don't go to the forest to take berries or mushrooms because it's very dangerous. Some people went, it was not so many times ago, and was damaged, suffered from the miners, the legs, the person without legs after this. So it's very, very dangerous. We should try go in clean places, and anyway we should look because now says some Russian people came and looks as civilian. They can put minus, so we should see anyway. And for dogs, for example, is dangerous because they like to go to grass and want to smell everything. And look, we see the next building. Some part of them damaged. This full destroyed apartment in general. Harris building is normally only some broken windows, but some apartment is fully destroyed. There are examples like this. There are a lot of in Bucha. It's not looks so terrible like in Borodyanka or Irpin, where the fully destroyed buildings and they are close to each other. Here they are far from each other, but there are a lot. Even in the center also we have a similar situation. And again, look, it's similar. I will turn and show you. This street was all with tanks and Russian equipment. And, oh, under the tree. But pay attention, the trees wasn't so green and with leaves in the winter. Look, all these apartments destroyed because there was fighting also between Ukrainian and Russian when they finished that part occupied and they went far and far on this street. So during shelling, this house is damaged. And if to go to that part, it's the center, people went there to evacuation. 9th and 10th of March and some days later. In the city during months, like in Borodyanka and in other places, they came in the end of February, and the 31 of March they began go back. So look, if going there is center and people evacuated from here. So from these buildings, from that part, in beginning of March, then they could go. But from places where we will go now, they couldn't go for evacuation because they was killed. For example, I will change the street. For example, in that part, in that area, lives No, look, in damaged people or in damaged buildings in other apartments, people can live, yes. But in these fully destroyed these, of course, no. They live or in relatives or in a temporary house, which I showed you in my last tour. In that area lives my father's friend, and he told the Russian came to him and asked, where can I find the Nazis, Nazis? You understand me? Yes, I pronounce right. Nazis, Nazis. And he told, I don't know. And also Russian people, if a Ukrainian person replied in Ukrainian language, Russian could kill, more possibly. No natives, not, I cannot write you, not, Nazis. Yes, 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 right. Yes, yes. Because Russian think there is here, so we don't have. And if person replied in Ukrainian language, person was killed. If person replied in Russian language, 50-50. Depends on the Russian person. He could kill or not kill. So my father's friend speaks Russian, and he replied in Russian, and he told, I don't know where is this Nazis, and they also asked him who is with you, who lives with you, but he lives with old mother. They checked and went. There was also a situation like this. But in that part, after the railway, yes, it's very terrible. And see again the marks from tanks. They went from here and there, and this is all Vokzalna street. They went from here closer and closer to Irpin. Here wasn't fights so long, so you see houses looks in general good. They went, here was a lot of technical, a lot of machines, equipments, different, destroyed, and they go and go, went and went from this street. Okay, and so when time will go, I told you in my last tour about my situation, my story, and one moment when we went from the village, I was in the village 60 kilometers from Bucha. Around us was occupied villages, so we couldn't go on the road. We went through the forest. We stopped time by time to clean the branches and go ahead. A very difficult road when we till we reach the normal highway. It was very also dangerous because we could meet the Russian and they could kill us. And by the way, here, if person or family tried evacuated alone by car, more possibly they was shot. There are a lot of cars with died people also in Bucha in different places, even in place where we was the first tour. In that place it was found the car with died men inside, and in the center, everywhere. People could evacuate only when was organized the Green Line. It's when a lot of cars could go together. It's Bucha, it's not Kiev, A lot of people came back who went to Kiev, went to west of Ukraine. Look, it's damaged building. Also, here was a push of dancing and some stores, some houses damaged. And you see, now city looks alive. Or who is it? Who is it? Oh, he wants to play. Oh my God, he wants to play. I think he lives here. Or maybe it's his mother. And we will go ahead. In this area was a lot of parts from technical. Here was so messy. Now look, it's so clean. Now, if to be honest, right now I feel more or less safe. Dangerous only two things. One of them, if Russia will go again from the north, and the second that almost every day, but sometimes day after day, we have air raid warning. But I think it's more dangerous for big cities, not for small, I hope. But of course, sometimes the rocket flies everywhere, even in small towns. As recently in Odessa region, they went to some. Now I will change the road. 1 second. We will go ahead. We will cross the railway, and after railway began very terrible things. After in that part there was the most Russians. They did terrible things, especially with women. If you heard, they robbed a lot of women and even children from 2 years old. How many warnings? For example, today we didn't have warnings. Yesterday, if I remember right, was two warnings. Day before yesterday, or we had one, or didn't have. And in some day before we had three. So it's not every day, but sometimes it can be every day. Depends on the situation. In the middle, maybe twice a day, and day after day. Maybe it's if in middle to say. If to be honest, people should go to basement in for the rules, but people don't pay attention now. It can be deep inside, and what people will do, people continue to sleep in apartments and house. If per a day some supermarkets closed, but people walking everywhere. Confident. I don't know if I correct understand your question. 1 second. We will cross the street again. Right now or before? Right now there are a lot of Russian in the east of Ukraine and south of Ukraine. Right now. But in March, when Bucha was occupied, all month. The most of them came to this area. I will go to this part. In this area, there was a lot of Russian. They even begin live here. There are a lot of equipment, technicals, tanks was here. I will show you house where they lived. And in this area, there was a lot of also killed people. On the grass, on the everywhere, there are a lot of some cannons put on the way, on the roads. I will show you here also some pictures from that time, how it looked like before. This all shops was damaged, all the windows was broken, and everything was stolen. Everything looks as this, for example, this. But some people put new windows and opened their business, some cafe with coffee, but some of them still didn't do anything. This was also some restaurant and shops. They also damaged. And we see the buildings where lives people. Yes, there is basements. Yes. About stores, I don't know. I'm not sure, but usually yes. But the basement is also dangerous. As you saw my first tour in Borodyanka, there are a lot of people was died in basements because Russian uh, threw the bombs on the buildings and it was fully destroyed and people who was in basement was or burnt or died because of something heavy was on there or because they couldn't have possibility to eat or drink because didn't have possibility to go out. Look at this orange house. Now it looks good, but on the first and second floor lived Russian people. They did messy in apartments. They put a lot of miners when they went from them in the end. They put miners everywhere, even under the pillow, in children's toys, in the microwave, in piano, everywhere. They put the miners. One woman lived in this apartment in the some of higher apartments. She is alive. Maybe they didn't notice her, and she told the Russian people went to apartment for the first floor from the window and went out also. And on from in this area, we will come back also. There was cannon and some equipment from which they shelled to Ukrainian army to Irpin. In that part is Irpin. You see the destroyed supermarket, and I will show you now the photos, some photos from this place. Before this, when I'm preparing, you see on this fully burned car. Uh, this you see the same place where we know a lot of technical equipment laying. It's cars when some people began arrive. It's first days after occupation. And these parks. Very a lot of garbage in this park, a lot of different and some parts from tank with their mark V. You see the cannon laid on the road. If somebody could take it, it will be they will be killed. Look at the same street. Look right now. You see the gates, the road, grass. On this street was killed Ukrainian person who went with dog. Only went out from home. He was killed. And now we will go ahead to see the Vokzalna street. In this area was not only one killed guy, not only one, there are a lot of. In general, now to say there are a lot of till 500 people was killed. But last week on Wednesday, 6 men was found in the forest with tied hands behind and belly bellied ones on the legs or behind heads. And unfortunately, one of them was my neighbor. It's a young guy, 27 years old. He lived in our high-rise building. He was all the time in occupied Bucha, and when began evacuation, I think he decided it's less dangerous, and he went to some people to take uh, medicine for his grandparents because he was with them all the time, and he disappeared. Our people thought maybe Russian took him to Russia or he is alive somewhere. They waited, and more than 4 months, after more than 4 months, he was found in forest. It was last Wednesday. He was in forest with tied hands and shelled legs. So it's terrible to imagine how what he feels, how his diet. It's terrible. Unfortunately, Russian killed him, uh, and a lot of people as him, other men and women. With women, they did terrible things. We will go now to Vokzalna, and on the street there are a lot of private houses. And on that street, in that houses, was terrible things. They tormented a lot of people. And from this part, to go to evacuate to the center of Bucha was impossible because who went out was killed. Here in this area was the most cruel Russian. I don't know why here, but was the most cruel. We will go now. From this area, there was equipment from this place Russian shelled to Ukrainian army to that part when we will go. My building in the house where we was for the first tour. From here, it's a little far, and my parents live in the center, so they thought the shelling, but it was uh, not so long on that area, but they heard the shelling from here because it was very, very strong, very strong, and I missed something. There is also damaged buildings near this, some roofs, broken windows. It's because of strong banks. because from here they shelled to Ukrainian army to Irpin, but from Irpin, Ukrainian army shelled on them. So here was a lot of destroyed tanks, but pay attention how our army shelled. They was exactly because look, buildings is not damaged, only windows. People changed windows. When they went from here, 31 of March, they began run from this area. And from April, this place, every Kiev region was occupied, was free from Russian. Look, here is apartments is okay from this side, from that side. But here was a lot of destroyed tanks. I will show you now some pictures, and it's difficult to believe how the street looks before. Look, this is this street. This street. Look on the picture and look now. Everything clean. And look else at some other. This all street from here to Irpin 2 kilometers about, and all 2 kilometers was with tanks and Russian equipments. Only two of them wasn't destroyed, but they couldn't move because no way already, because a lot of damage. And look now, it's clean, fully clean. Bucha is general is a good place for living. Here came a lot of young families, even people from Kiev who lived in Kiev and decided to make family, to born child. They come here. Here is quite here is comfortable to live because Kiev is noisy, it's big city. Here is comfortable. The most, of course, big equipments. Government took some special people, some special companies, I think, to clean it. But it's not big things. Usual civilian, usual people who lived here cleaned this, but not big because it's impossible. And I'm sure some equipment, some tanks from this place now in the center of Kiev near Michael Church. If you saw my or other tours from Kiev, you saw the tanks, Russian tanks in the square, Michael Square. I'm sure some of them from here because it's nearest. It's more near than to take equipment from Chernihivska or Sumska region. And here was a lot. We're walking now in Vokzalna Street. In these buildings, I don't know exactly which one, but in this street, in private houses, was terrible things. A lot of raped women, children. The youngest girl was 2 years old. It's too terrible. I don't understand how they do it. A lot of young girls, about 15 years old also. They was some of them was alive, is alive, and in the hospital. They was and terrible things. A lot of them cannot have children anymore because they did terrible things. And on this street, instead of tanks and equipment, there are a lot of also killed people near some houses who went out or if Russian came to ask something and only didn't like the person, they killed. For example, if the person reply in Ukrainian language, it's one of the reasons to kill. There are a lot of things was here, but look, houses is standing. It's very, very good because our army, it's not Russian army. If they shouted as Russian, here would be filled as in Irpin. If you was in my tour in Irpin, you saw the fully destroyed street with private houses and with high-rise buildings. Here situation is better, but if go closer to Irpin, some houses is destroyed. If closer and closer to Irpin, more and more destroyed things. I want to go and show you the most famous street where there's a lot of killed people. And before this, I will tell you small history about Bucha. Uh, Bucha is a young town. This year it will be 121 years old. But before, on this area was a small village. It's named Yablunska. Yablunska, it's from word яблоко, apple, because a lot of apples here, and it's named Yablunska. And now we will go to street which named Yablunka. It's street where a lot of killed people. There are a lot in this Yablunka. It's in general 6 kilometers. And now before this, I will show you school. It's usual school. It's also repairing now. The roof was damaged and some windows was broken. And in the basement of the school, people hide some time. And in the end, here was found that one killed woman in basement. She was shot on the head. It was terribly. And here, I will tell you about Bucha. Okay, I know. Okay, it is school. Bucha. It's an interesting story about name. It means something like noise, scandal, or fuss. To make a noise or to make a fuss. It's сделать бучу, зробити бучу, підняти бучу. It means to make something like scandal. Because when Bucha began founded, people built the railway. And they didn't take last salary from building. So they began very noisy because of this and decided to to call this place Bucha because it was very big, very strong and noisy. People did. Because when we go closer to the Irpin, you see more and more destroyed places. On these places was house. Here. Now I think people came and cleaned because it was already not house, and we see some damaged places. Yes, you know, it's a funny situation how names is our uh, town. It's funny, but for that time, for that builder, it wasn't funny. Hello, look, and here again, when we go closer and closer to Irpin, more and more destroyed. And on this street and the Yablunka street where we go, some died. People was buried in the yard. Because if, for example, Russian could kill someone from family, and if somebody was killed from family, the other relatives bury he or she in the yard. And from here, Irpin is not far, almost about 1 kilometer from here. Yes, sir, we are going. Yes, now it looks very peaceful. But before, as I showed you, on the street there was a lot of tanks, equipment, military machines, things. Look, here was something also, uh, or house or some building. Exactly, here was something. Oh, we see the more and more destroyed buildings. If closer to Irpin, is more destroyed buildings. And look, even that building is damaged partially. We're going closer to Yablunska Street, but don't forget that killed people was everywhere, not only in that street. They was here on this street between all the equipment. They was in the center, in the any region somebody was, and we don't know exactly how many in general, because last week on Wednesday was found 6 guys in the forest. So maybe later we will find more. We don't know. Maybe in forest more people, and we will find from time to time. Most of them with tired hands behind and sheltered on the head or legs or stomach or somewhere else. Look, also destroyed, garage destroyed. And from this area, people could not evacuate it, could not. Second, the single thing what they could do for living, only sit and hope that the Russian will not kill. Because if they went out, they was killed. They could theoretically to evacuate it only or from Irkutsk that side, but there was strong fights, or from opposite side to go to the center to Bucha. But it was too dangerous, and because of this, because of the 9th and 10th of March, were the biggest evacuation from our town. There are a lot of people from this side tried to go to the center of Bucha for evacuation, and they were killed. It's terribly thing. The government use. I don't know what they use. What do you mean? Now we're closer to the Yablunska street. We'll cross the street and we will see. Look, it's from recently in Bucha. We can download the apps and take the bicycle for going in the street to pay. I didn't try how it works, but it's very nice for fast going in different places. Oh, look, we now in the Yablunska street. You see, the first building is fully destroyed. This street, photos from this street and that part also, the 6 kilometers in general, all streets had died people. A lot. From here to here to there, and a lot of photos made it what which you saw in internet with the killed people. The most of them was from this street. Even in New York Times, and there was some uh, researches about this, because Russian told it's not our, it's fakes, but it wasn't fake. This street, people tried to evacuate it, but from here it was impossible. Even if they went to that part, there was also strong fights, also strong. It was impossible, and that part is very, very far from the center of Bucha, and from here to go to Irpin is impossible because of fights. And even that street, you see also damaged building. Everything here was also fights, and living here for people was as hell, because they, Russian, went it here. It was like a hell that time, but now it looks very nice, very quiet, without Russian, clean. On this street and that street in different sides there were a lot of killed people. So I showed you the most important places where was a lot of killed people. The very where was the very famous pictures in different newspapers in USA, in England. I saw about Bucha. Everything this was in this area. It's very close part to Irpin. From here, where we're right now, it's about 1 kilometer to Irpin. They stopped here. Our army uh, hold them here. They couldn't go to Irpin and couldn't go far. So I hope it was important things, and you will hear something new, and you see how it looks now without Russian. And I hope it will be always without Russian and clean and nice as today. So I hope it will finish soon and everything will be okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone. See you already in Croatia. I hope I will show you something interesting from there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Take care. You also. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.